Welcome to another deep dive. And this time, we're tackling a question that's been making the rounds lately.
Yeah.
Why are the Springboks so dominant?
Yeah.
Yet,
Yeah.
so let's say passionately debated out there in the rugby world. We're going beyond the usual match analysis here, folks, because we know the Springboks are a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
I mean, just look at their recent wins.
Oh, yeah.
Their lineup.
Stacked.
Stacked is a good word for it. Heck, some experts are even saying their B team could give many A teams a run for their money.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
But for all that power, there's definitely a,
yeah.
shall we say, a complex set of feelings towards them outside of South Africa.
It's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it?
It is.
This push and pull between their undeniable success and the reactions they provoke. And that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Okay.
With this Rugby Pass article. The title is fantastic. Who gives a crap? Animosity towards the Springboks is proof of their dominance.
I love that title.
It really gets to the heart of this whole thing.
Yeah, that title definitely grabbed my attention, I have to say.
Right.
And then they open the article with this scene of the Springboks bench during their match against Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
And they describe these massive forwards as a pack of hungry lions just waiting to be unleashed. It's almost like foreshadowing,
Oh, totally.
because we all know what's coming.
Here it comes.
The bomb squad.
The bomb squad. Ah, yes.
But before we...
Now, for listeners who might not be as familiar
Yeah.
with the term, it refers to the Springboks' tactic of loading their bench with heavy forwards and then strategically subbing them in later in the game. We'll definitely unpack all of that,
Yeah.
the brilliance and the controversy of it all,
Later.
a little bit later. But first, let's explore this animosity a little bit more.
Okay.
This idea of animosity towards them. The article quotes Stephen Jones.
Oh.
You may know he's a prominent rugby journalist,
Yeah.
and he calls them an unlovely bunch
Wow.
and criticizes their tactics as arrogant.
Those are fighting words.
They are strong words, for sure.
Yeah. What specifically does he find unlovely about them?
Right.
Is it their playing style, their attitude,
Yeah.
something else entirely?
Yeah.
And is this just a case of sour grapes from those who can't match their power?
Yeah.
Or is there something deeper here?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's tempting to just dismiss it all as jealousy.
For sure.
You know, just people being sore losers.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth examining whether some of these criticisms have merit. You know, we've seen this throughout sporting history where innovations and dominant teams face this kind of pushback.
Right.
You know, a classic example is the no-dunk rule in basketball,
Oh, yeah.
right? A lot of people saw that as a direct response to certain dominant,
Right.
often very athletic players,
Uh-huh.
and it kind of stifled a certain style of play. So it's possible that the Springboks, with their forward-oriented, power-focused game, are triggering similar reactions in the rugby world.
Okay, so there's a historical context to this.
I think so.
But to really understand the Springboks, I think we need to talk about the mastermind behind their approach, the man himself, Rassie Erasmus.
Of course, the Springboks coach.
Now, there's a personality that could fuel a whole separate deep dive.
Oh, absolutely. He's a fascinating study in leadership, that's for sure.
He is.
Erasmus is a strategic genius, no doubt.
Oh,
Absolutely beloved in South Africa.
For sure.
But he's also known for his, shall we say, unconventionality?
Yes.
That video critique of the referee, those tweets that cause such a stir.
Right.
It seems like he's not afraid to ruffle some feathers,
Yeah.
challenge the status quo even when it lands him in hot water.
And yet the article says that he expresses a desire for the world to like the Springboks, even admitting he's made mistakes.
It's interesting.
It's almost a contradiction.
Yeah.
Is he genuinely seeking global approval?
Right.
Or is this all part of some calculated PR strategy?
Right.
What does this reveal about his leadership and how he views the team's place on the world stage?
That apparent contradiction, I think, speaks volumes about the complexity of his approach.
Okay.
You know, I think it's a mix of genuine desire
Okay.
and strategic thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's undeniably driven to win, and he will push boundaries to achieve that.
Yeah.
But there's also the sense that he wants respect and admiration for South African rugby.
Right.
And maybe he sees pushing back against criticism as a way to command that respect.
So are we saying he's playing the villain role deliberately?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a bold move, if so.
It would be. But before we get too deep into the psychology of Rassie Erasmus,
Okay.
I think it's time we tackle the elephant.
Yeah.
Or should I say the bomb squad in the room?
Oh, I do it.
The bomb squad is more than just a catchy name. It's really a tactical innovation that has become synonymous with Springbok rugby.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned earlier, it involves loading the bench with powerful forwards and then strategically unleashing them, usually in the second half.
It's like sending in the heavy cavalry when the opposition is already tiring. I remember watching a match where the Springboks bomb squad came on, and it completely shifted the momentum.
Oh, yeah.
The opposing team, which had been holding their own, suddenly looked exhausted, outmuscled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just overwhelmed.
Exactly. And that's the brilliance of it.
Yeah.
South Africa has always been renowned for its powerful forward pack,
Right.
and the bomb squad just maximizes that strength. It exploits a loophole in the substitution rules,
Yeah.
perfectly legal, mind you,
Yeah.
to create a physical and psychological advantage.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a player on the opposing team.
Oh, yeah.
You've spent 50 minutes battling it out, and suddenly you're facing a fresh wave of these enormous, incredibly strong Springbok forwards.
Yeah.
It's daunting, to say the least.
Daunting, yeah. But the article doesn't shy away from the criticisms either.
Right.
Some argue that it's unfair, disrupts the flow of the game, and makes it less exciting to watch.
Sure.
What's your take on those arguments? Is there a valid point there, or is it just resistance to change and innovation? It's a complex issue, and there are valid points on both sides. I can see how some might find it disruptive to the traditional ebb and flow of a match.
Sure.
And yes, it does favor teams with exceptional forward depth, like the Springboks. However, I also believe that innovation is a vital part of any sport.
Right.
And the Bomb Squad is a prime example of a team using the rules to their advantage, adapting their strategy to maximize their strength. Should we penalize them for being clever and exploiting a loophole?
That's what Matt Proudfoot, a former Springboks coach, argues in the article. He passionately defends the bomb squad, saying, and I love this quote, "Who gives a crap?" About the criticism.
I love that quote.
I know. He believes the team's focus should be on their own performance and their fans, not on pleasing everyone. It's a bold statement, but it does raise an interesting question. Do dominant teams inevitably attract negativity? Is there a link between success and being perceived as the villain?
It's a pattern we see across sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about the New York Yankees in baseball.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls during the Jordan era. Even our own All Blacks have had their fair share of detractors.
Oh, for sure.
When a team consistently wins, some people seem to find them less likable, almost as if their success somehow diminishes the accomplishments of others.
So maybe it's not about the Springboks' specific tactics or even Rassie Erasmus's personality.
Right.
Maybe it's just that human tendency to root for the underdog,
Yeah.
to want to see the giant toppled.
There's definitely an element of that. We love an underdog story.
Yeah.
But there's also a certain satisfaction in seeing a dominant team falter.
Oh, for sure.
It adds to the drama,
Yeah.
the unpredictability of the sport.
Right. And let's be honest, sometimes it's just more fun to root against the team that always wins.
It is. It's true.
I have to admit, there's a bit of truth to that. I mean, rivalries are built on this kind of dynamic. Think about the All Blacks and the Wallabies, or the Springboks and the British and Irish Lions.
Right.
The animosity, the back and forth, it all adds to the excitement. The article even suggests that teams like the Wallabies are actually more likable when they're not dominant.
Oh, interesting.
It's like their struggles make them more relatable, more human.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
It challenges the assumption that being liked is essential for success.
Yeah.
Maybe for some teams it's the opposite. Maybe the animosity, the us against the world mentality fuels their drive even more.
So are we saying that the Springboks are destined to be the villains of rugby no matter what they do?
I don't know about destined.
Yeah.
But it does raise the question.
Right.
Does it even matter if they're universally loved, as
Well-
long as they keep winning?
Okay.
Ultimately, the goal is to lift trophies to be the best in the world.
Right.
And the Springboks, love them or hate them, are achieving that goal.
It seems like we keep coming back to this question of perception. Does it really matter if the Springboks are universally loved, if they're consistently achieving their goals and playing a style that's undeniably effective?
I think that's the big question, isn't it? Maybe their legacy isn't about being universally adored, but about being respected.
Yeah.
Maybe even feared a little bit
Right.
for their unwavering commitment to their style of play. And the article ends on this almost defiant note,
Oh, yeah.
urging the Springboks to embrace this bad boy image. Let the criticism fuel their fire. It's like they're saying, look, we're here to win and we're not going to apologize for it.
It's a powerful message.
No.
It makes you wonder how this will all play out in the long run. If the Springboks continue to dominate, will the rugby world eventually come to appreciate their style?
Right.
Or will they always be seen as the disruptors, the team people love to hate?
It's a question only time can answer. But I think that's what makes following this team so captivating. They're not just playing rugby. They're challenging our notions of what it means to be successful in sport. And they're forcing us to confront our own biases about different playing styles. It's more than just wins and losses. It's about the narrative they're creating.
Yeah.
And the conversations they're sparking.
This whole deep dive has really highlighted that I came in thinking we'd be talking about tactics and strategies, and we did touch on those.
We did.
But we've gone so much deeper into the psychology of winning, the role of perception, and this complex relationship between a team and its fans.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of a deep dive, isn't it? It's about making those unexpected connections, uncovering the layers beneath the surface. But before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to you, our listener. Where do you stand on all of this? Do you admire the Springboks' ruthless efficiency?
Yeah.
Does their style make you cringe a little bit? Do you think their legacy hinges on being loved? Or is it enough to simply be the best?
Yeah, these are the kinds of questions we hope will stay with you long after this deep dive ends. Because ultimately, that's what makes sport so compelling. The debates,
Yes.
the differing opinions, the passion we all share for the game.
Whether you're cheering for the Springboks or against them, one thing's for sure. They're a force to be reckoned with, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
Their journey is far from over, and we'll all be watching to see how it unfolds.
And that, my fellow rugby fans, is a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the Springboks. It's been a fascinating journey, and I have a feeling the conversation is far from over.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the passion for rugby alive.